I mean, think about this. President Trump is joining some of the most incredible people in history being arrested today. Nelson Mandela was arrested, served time in prison. Jesus was arrested.
Wait, what was that?
President Trump is joining some of the most incredible people in history being arrested today. Nelson Mandela was arrested, served time in prison. Jesus was arrested.
When it comes to defending Donald Trump's arresting crimes, the Republican Party is sending in the MAGA clowns. George Santos was heckled into tears, Marjorie Taylor Greene ran away from her own protest, and Lindsey Graham went on TV to cry and beg for money. Republicans love to talk tough, but as soon as they're challenged, they immediately melt like snowflakes. Just look at George Santos, who actively avoids his constituents in New York's 3rd District, but he will happily use campaign funds to fly to Manhattan to support Daddy Trump.
I want to support the president just because I think this is unprecedented and it's a bad day for democracy. I think if this starts a precedent that what's to stop the next prosecutor in 2 years from doing the same thing to Joe Biden and moving on every 4 years.
And after real New Yorkers heckled the fake New Yorker, Santos ran away crying.
I'm doing nothing. I'm leaving.
Are you coming back at all later today?
No, because you guys make it unbearable to be here.
Another person who was chased out of New York City was Marjorie Taylor Greene. And now, because she was so embarrassed, she's doing TV interviews to talk shit about the Big Apple.
Really quick, since you were just there, but Mayor Adams described New York as, quote, his home. How did his home look? Pretty neat and tidy?
No, his home is disgusting. I compared it to what I called Gotham City. The streets are filthy. They're covered with people basically dying on drugs. They can't even stand up. They're falling over. There's so much crime in the city. I can't comprehend how people live there. It was repulsive. It smells bad. And I think it's a terrible place.
She sounds like a QAnon Karen leaving a 1-star review on Airbnb. And let's get something straight. New York City is amazing. Gotham City was primarily influenced by New York City. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is still mad that New York City Mayor Eric Adams called her out by name.
People like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is known to spread misinformation and hate speech, she stated she's coming to town. While you're in town, be on your best behavior. As always, we will not allow violence or vandalism of any kind. And if one is caught participating in any act of violence, they will be arrested and held accountable, no matter who you are.
Imagine being publicly warned on TV because the last time you supported Donald Trump by protesting, your followers smeared their own shit on the walls of the Capitol and built gallows to hang Mike Pence. If Republicans want to be taken seriously, they need to stop making fools of themselves and playing victim when they're called out. Oh, and also stop being fascists. But I don't see any of that happening anytime soon. So leading up to Trump's arraignment, Marjorie Taylor Greene regurgitated Trump's rhetoric that they're not coming after Trump. They're coming after you. I'm pretty sure the fact that Trump was arrested and charged with 34 felony counts of falsifying business records means that they are going after Trump, not you. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene's hate for New York City started after her little protest rally didn't go the way that she wanted. And it probably didn't help that 90% of the people there were reporters holding cameras and microphones.
Donald J. Trump is innocent. This is election interference. The DA, Alvin Bragg, is nothing but a George Soros-funded tool.
Well, it wouldn't be a Marjorie Taylor Greene speech without some George Soros anti-Semitism sprinkled in.
Democrats are the party of violence. They're the party that enabled and funded and cheered for violent riots all through 2020. And they allowed cities to be burned, $2 billion worth of damage. That's the Democrat Party. But we're the party of peace.
Republicans are the party of peace. Do I need to go over the fact that MAGA supporters literally attacked Capitol police officers and chanted, "Hang Mike Pence"? And speaking of chanting, the handful of MAGA supporters who actually showed up to a rally did a good old-fashioned USA chant.
USA! 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 He's good.
Well, that lasted all of 10 seconds, which is about 9 times shorter than what Trump did with Stormy Daniels. Marjorie Taylor Greene's whole speech lasted a whopping 5 minutes and 35 seconds. She quickly gave up because counter-protesters were drowning her out with whistles. And ironically enough, one of the men who handed out the whistles was a Trump supporter. Actually, you know what? This reminds me of the other time that Marjorie Taylor Greene ran away from a whistle.
To the guy that's blowing the whistle, we are not deterred. And so for anyone that's here being an activist and yelling today, here's the statement that I need everyone to understand. We will not back down. We will not stop asking questions. We are looking for the truth. Okay.
The left is interrupting the press conference. We need to end it.
Thank you. For those of you that really care about due process, thank you.
She literally said they won't back down and then proceeded to back down and run away. And that's the funny and pathetic thing about MAGA. They're all bark and no bite. As soon as someone stands up to them, they tuck tail and run.
Welcome to New York City. Get the out. Now let's talk about the truth. Now let's talk about the truth. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I think it's safe to say that New Yorkers like Representative Jamal Bowman weren't having it.
Do your freaking job, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You don't need to be in New York City talking that nonsense. Go back to your district. You're not. What are you doing here? You're here for politics. You're here because you want to be VP. You're here for your own fundraising. You're here for your own nonsense. New York City stood up to Marjorie Taylor Greene to let her know, get the hell out of here. Don't open one word in our freaking city.
You might remember him as the guy who called out Republicans for doing absolutely nothing to prevent innocent children from dying in mass shootings.
Pressure them. Force them to respond to the question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until election day on 2024.
So in what might be the worst episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to rewrite the events during an interview with her boyfriend, far-right reporter Brian Glenn, which is its own ethical mess because they haven't disclosed their relationship to viewers.
We were swarmed, unbelievably swarmed. And then, of course, guess who was out there, Brian? You saw them, the people that bring their whistles, they bring all kinds of instruments to make loud noise. And what it is it's assault. It's assault on your ears. It causes audible damage to your ears. And it's actually against the law here in New York City.
I gotta say, that is rich. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the combative Republican who harasses and screams at people on the street, is now complaining about other people assaulting her with whistles. Oh, and blowing a whistle in New York City is not illegal. Look, if you don't want people blowing whistles at you, then don't plan a rally, especially an unsanctioned one, in a state and city that you don't represent.
I mean, think about this. President Trump is joining some of the most incredible people in history being arrested today. Nelson Mandela was arrested, served time in prison. Jesus was arrested and murdered by the Roman government. There have been many people throughout history that have been arrested and persecuted by radical, corrupt governments. And it's beginning today in New York City. And I just can't believe it's happening, but I'll always support him. He's done nothing wrong.
Oh my God, how could I forget that both Nelson Mandela and Jesus tried to cover up paying hush money to a porn star? I don't know what's funnier, comparing Trump to Nelson Mandela and Jesus, or her comment about the Roman government. Actually, on second thought, this might be the best episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And what might make this whole situation even funnier is Lindsey Graham going on Fox News to beg for money.
I'm sorry I'm so upset, but please help President Trump. If you can afford $5 or $10, if you can't afford $1 fine, just pray. Make sure you vote as early as you can in your state. Don't risk anything anymore. Vote as soon as you can. Pray for this country. Pray for this president. And if you got any money to give, give it. LindseyGraham.com. It doesn't go to me. It goes to helping this president and taking back the Senate.
Lindsey Graham is literally begging people to pay Trump's legal bills. You know, the same Trump who claims to be a billionaire. The Republican Party is so weak, pathetic, and desperate that they have no choice but to support a criminal like Trump, even if it means they embarrass themselves in the process. Well, until next episode, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That? If you enjoyed today's episode and want to support the work that goes into creating the What Was That Show, you can join my Patreon at whatwasthatshow.com. You'll get access to early episodes, exclusive bits, behind-the-scenes content, access to the show's private Discord, as well as live Q&As to connect directly with me to offer up comments, questions, and suggested topics to be featured on the show. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you over on Patreon.